The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Customer Loyalty, Knowing Key Drivers Using Smart Tools. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tim Green, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Dunn Solutions Group, and I'll be the moderator for this webinar. The presenter is Ken Krozik, Senior Manager, Predictive Analytics for Dunn Solutions Group, a longtime customer analytics professional and math wizard with exceptional experience in predictive analytics. Before we begin, I'd like you to look on the right-hand side of your screen and find the questions panel. Whenever you have a question, you may type it there, and we will answer them during the question and answer segment at the end of the presentation. Here is a look at our agenda for this one-hour webinar. We'll start by telling you briefly about Dunn Solutions Group and our business intelligence and predictive analytics expertise. We'll provide a quick overview of BI and predictive analytics, discuss customer loyalty, how to measure it and what it means today, talk about the customer and how to know what they want, then go deep into customer loyalty and how you can use it to improve your bottom line. At two different spots, we'll show you how to use SAP Business Objects Predictive Workbench to do critical customer loyalty analysis. And then we'll finish up with Q&A. Here we go. Founded 22 years ago, Dunn Solutions Group is a full-service information technology consulting firm. We design, develop, and deliver a wide range of solutions using a variety of advanced tools, and we deliver those solutions worldwide through offices in Chicago, Minneapolis, Raleigh, Fort Lauderdale, and Bangalore, India. Our offerings fall into three practice areas: application development solutions, which includes custom application development, e-commerce, portals, and web design; business intelligence solutions, which includes end-to-end BI solutions, dashboards, reporting and analytics, and other advanced BI capabilities; and, of course, predictive analytics; packaged solutions, which includes software and services offerings for specific vertical markets or unique needs; and training solutions, which spans those three areas and includes classroom, on-site, and custom training, as well as one-to-one programs. Our clients include some of the biggest names in American business, many mid-market companies, as well as a large number of governments and government agencies. Here are a few of our customers, including PepsiCo, Abbott, Bank of America, Kaiser Permanente, Allstate, City of Chicago, Progress Energy, and others. To offer our clients the most advanced solutions possible, we maintain close partnerships with industry-leading technology companies, including SAP and SAP Business Objects, Microsoft, IBM, and others. Our partnership with SAP is one of our strongest and most important. We are an SAP Gold partner, the top level, and have been a partner since 1995. We utilize the full SAP Business Objects stack in our solutions. We deliver BI solutions and services nationwide, and we offer comprehensive SAP Business Objects training at our authorized training centers in North Carolina and Florida. And now, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ken Krozik. Ken? Ken, can you hear me? I think you're still muted.
Hello, Tim. Can you hear me?
There you go. Now I can hear you. There you go.
All right. Thanks, Tim, and thanks, everybody, for joining us. Today I'm going to talk about predictive analytics, why it's so important in business intelligence, and also how predictive analytics can help understand loyalty and understand the quality dimensions of a business and how they correlate with one another. Organizations go through a series of stages as they mature in their use of business intelligence. The first stage is mostly tactical, as companies use reports to help run their day-to-day business. These reports typically inform users of things like customer sales, current inventory, sales commissions, and profit. And they typically come directly from the organization's transactional systems. Well, over time, managers and business executives want to have the ability to ask ad hoc data questions and try to figure out why things are happening in the organization. So they move on to the analysis level, which often leads to the need for a data warehouse to help facilitate better access to the data. Once leadership has a good idea of what their goals are, They can move to the next phase, which is monitoring, establishing key performance indicators, or KPIs, and checking how they're doing against those indicators. Now, more mature organizations create the KPIs at each level in the company and share performance goals and results with the employees. But all of these are really looking in the rearview mirror. So the question is, what if you could look into the future? What area of your business would you explore? How would you change your strategy or tactics? Well, predictive analytics allows organizations to model outcomes and make predictions that inform business decisions, changing and driving the way you run your business. Most companies are probably making decisions on gut feel, when in reality they may be based on ideas and metrics that are no longer in use. Well, sometimes it's not evident what the factors are that influence the business outcome. This is when predictive analytics can improve your decision-making ability. The core of predictive analytics relies on capturing relationships between KPIs and their predicted variables from past occurrences and then exploiting it to predict future outcomes. Predictive analytics is the process of discovering hidden patterns in data to improve business performance and retain or gain a competitive edge. It's a framework for modeling business problems that involve uncertainty. Overall, it provides the greatest business value. And as Wayne Gretzky said, a good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. So now there are various problems and processes throughout an organization that predictive analytics can resolve or improve. All problems can't be solved by applying one modeling solution, so which is why when using predictive analytics, we often leverage several different modeling techniques. They vary from predictive modeling to descriptive modeling to decision modeling and even machine learning. So in today's webinar, we will be focusing on using predictive analytics to understand what is customer loyalty, its value, and how it can help improve revenue. Have you ever wondered what loyalty is? It's probably just as difficult to describe what love is. Well, loyalty may be different for different people or for different organizations. Some may believe that customer loyalty is created by consistent interactions of relationship-building behaviors as well as expectations of the quality of a business's products and services. Loyalty can be thought of as the perception of relying upon another to be thoughtful of their needs and by having built mutual trust. So loyalty can be created by consistently meeting the customer's expectations and building a healthy and honest relationship. So I guess, why do we care about loyalty? Well, how can it help the organization achieve its revenue and profit goals? Your organization has probably been successful to some point, or else it would have not grown as much as it has to date. What if all of your customers were truly loyal? And what if you became their sole provider for the goods and services you sell? These loyal customers are so convinced that you carry the best variety of product, have the most professional staff, and they love the appearance of your stores. The best part is that they quickly tell the whole world how awesome your products and services are. The final result is that your customers are spending more of their shopping dollars with you and telling their social network to shop with you as well. Loyalty has been correlated with an increase in new customer growth, higher retention rates, and higher profit. Let's take a look at a process that we will follow that identifies loyalty and identifies areas of your business that can be improved and also to improve loyalty. Today we're going to focus on customers' expectations of quality and their opinions on performance. The analysis will allow us to identify the drivers of loyalty and define them from least to most important. How much do your customers care about your product or service selection and availability? Are they satisfied? Do they refer their friends to you? Well, let's just ask them and collect their thoughts and study their dynamics. It's the customer's interpretation of an organization's attempt to fulfill their expectations that allow us to measure the concept of loyalty. The customer's expectations may range from how responsive your customer is to their issues to having a reasonable return policy. The steps we will focus on identifying patterns in the customer's thoughts by applying statistical models and classifying those thoughts into groups or buckets that measure loyalty. Now that we believe that understanding the customer's thoughts is important to measuring loyalty, what are the determinants of loyalty? As we heard earlier, an organization's behaviors and deliverables are judged by customers. These judgments of quality are created by how closely we come to meeting a customer's perceived needs. Customer satisfaction leads to gratification when their needs and expectations are met. Another determinant of loyalty is focused on reasons and motivations for future behavior. This is known as intention. Intentions measure conscious decision-making based on beliefs, abilities, attitudes, and motivation. The intentions perspective is more inward-looking, focusing on reasons customers choose a particular set of services, products, or suppliers. Retention is another part of loyalty that is a composite of satisfaction and intention. It's the repeated act of a customer to continue to shop or visit based upon an organization's ability to constantly meet and exceed the customer's expectations. So, are your services consistent? Does your staff carry a positive attitude? Do you have accurate product information? The level of quality of your products and services is very important to your success. It's often critical to measure the quality of your business so that you have a handle on what is doing well versus poorly. Quality is defined as the difference between expectations against performance and can be interpreted differently by different people. Many experts measure quality against 9 dimensions: availability, variety, functionality, professionalism, friendliness, handling issues, return policy, appearance, and business hours. When we measure these 9 quality dimensions, we survey customers for their opinions. Our intent is to compare the quality performance against a derived importance to loyalty. Our end goal is to identify the quality attribute that has the greatest effect on loyalty. We're going to move forward in the process to understand the loyalty levels. Looking into the determinants that define loyalty, we address the relationship between the 8 questions on satisfaction, intention, and retention. The factor analysis studies the variation in the responses between the 8 questions and identifies the questions with similar patterns of observed responses. The analysis will condense the 8 questions into an equal or lesser amount of factors. This method is referred to as a classification modeling technique. We're going to analyze the numbers using a tool called Predictive Workbench. It's a data mining, modeling, and reporting tool. Here's the interface of Predictive Workbench. The large area is the stream canvas, and this is where the modeling process is captured. There are nodes throughout the bottom that are embedded with algorithms that range from data manipulation to applied statistical modeling. Today we are going to focus on factor analysis with the 8 questions. One thing I want to point out is on the bottom right, there's a series of folders where modeling streams can be organized throughout a project. We can also store PowerPoint, Word, Excel documents, as well as PMML files. They are organized by a method we follow called CRISP-DM. It stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. It's an industry-proven way to guide your data mining efforts. Let's get back to the factor analysis. So to begin, we need data in the stream. So let's import the survey data by dragging a source node to the canvas. We identify the location of where our data is. In this case, it's an Excel file. As we link the data to the Predictive Workbench tool, there are options to filter out variables and do some pre-processing before any analysis is done. So there's options to click on some variables that we may not want in the data set if it's too large as well. There also is an option to change the name of the variable. If we start with raw data with raw names, we can change the name to something that makes more sense. There also is a Types tab that gives you the properties of all the variables. There's different types of variables that we can have as a discrete set or ordered set. There's also a Direction tab, which is mainly applied in the modeling phase that we will get to when we talk about some other types of modeling upcoming. So now that we have the data linked to the Predictive Workbench, there's an Output tab that gives us a table node that if we execute this table node, we are able to see the data that is in the Excel document. So it's a first view of the data. If we have to see how many observations there are quickly or how many columns they are, just to make sure all the variables are entered properly. There is another phase of a data audit that we can connect a node where there's an option to look at graphs, basic statistics, or advanced statistics. If we execute this, this will give us quickly graphs based upon the values for each of those variables, the min, max, sum, and the range, and the mean. So we can quickly identify the average performance for all these questions using this audit node. There are other statistics that you can review as you go through this first EDA part, exploratory data analysis. There is another tab that looks at outliers and extremes. For this illustration, all of the pre-processing has done, so the data is ready for the analysis. So the factor analysis is in the modeling section under classification. It's called principal components analysis or factor analysis. Now, with every modeling node, there are very complex selections. For instance, if you want to choose some of these different correlation or covariance or eigenvalues, you can do that. We're going to stick with something simple just for this illustration. There's an extraction method on principal components. So as we run this, there's a models palette that is in the top right where the results come out as a golden nugget. So these are the factor equations that come out of the relationship between the 8 questions. Now what we're going to focus on is the advanced statistics, which this is the table of the correlations between the 8 questions and the factors. So it shows how strong this satisfied question is to the relationship of the first factor. So when you have variables with the highest factor loading, as it's called, those variables are going to be attributed to the first factor and so forth. So I've put these statistics in the PowerPoint to make it easier to view. So this is the relationship of the 8 variables. The results of our analysis suggest that we can categorize our customers into 3 unique buckets. For instance, there exists a high correlation between the responses for level of satisfaction, customer recommendation, choose again, and purchase the same. Therefore, these 4 drivers are most important to one of our customer segments. The other unique groups are highlighted in red and green. So now that we have 3 distinct groups based upon these 8 questions, let's define them as dimensions of loyalty, and let's give each of them a name. The questions in the first category appear to reference emotions and feelings. I labeled it as affective. These are the customers that are very pleased and very involved in promoting your business. They are advocates that will increase your new customer growth. Their feelings and emotions will help tell everyone that you have the latest brands and the most appealing store. The second category is based around customers purchasing more or changing preferences through the process of thought. They are customers that evaluate every product, identify variety, and observe when products change. They seem to have the knowledge from the experience of buying different products and purchasing on a regular basis. The third category is based upon retention and implies the customer is well beyond satisfied and chooses to continue with your products and services. So now that we have 3 dimensions of loyalty, how do they measure up with the specific quality of your business that we measured? We will calculate how influential each quality dimension is to each loyalty dimension. A comparison using 4 quadrants created by the performance rating and the relative importance will allow us to identify the quality dimensions that are above and below the average rating or importance. The most important quadrant is the upper left, called opportunity. These items plotted here have a high importance to your customers, but current performance is low. This quadrant is where you will have the greatest impact on improving loyalty and driving higher profits. The items in the upper right quadrant are superior and should be closely monitored. The items that are in the lower right quadrant are called bonus items because they are performing well, even though they are least important. So let's look at these numbers and analyze them to understand what the relative importance is by conducting a regression analysis. The prediction technique, regression analysis, studies the relationship between the fluctuation in the ratings between the 9 quality attributes and its effect on the loyalty dimension. So again, let's just quickly import the data from our study. What we need to do next is understand that the component that we are predicting is going to be the loyalty score. So for this example, we'll calculate affective loyalty, which is the composition of those 4 questions. So there is a node that's called derive that within this node, there are many different ways that you can capture new variables. There's formulas, flags set. You can set a condition based upon other variables. There is an expression builder. What I'm going to do is just take a look at the average of the 4 questions. So you can type in some of the functions if you know them, or you can choose them on the bottom left-hand side. Let's choose the recommended, the satisfied, the choose again, and the purchase the same. I'm just checking to make sure everything looks good. There is a check button. And throughout any node within the stream, you can always have a table and look at what those scores are that you had calculated. So here's the affective score. And then you could also do an EDA on the affective score to see if there's any outliers in themselves. So now we're going to use that as the predicted variable. Now with every modeling tool, you need to assign the input and output variables. So in the field operators, there's a node called type, which gives you the fields, the type, and the direction is the most important one, where you can change the affective score to the output variable. And all of the others are going to be in. Now, as you saw, the 8 questions are in here, as well as all of the quality questions. So you can go through all of the variables that you do not want and click none throughout them all. And there's a way to read the values to make sure everything looks good. For this illustration, we want to connect the modeling node called the Regression Analysis. And again, it has very, very many different calculations. There's an Expert tab, which gives you the option for various amounts of output, model fit, regression coefficients, R-squared change, and the covariance matrix. For this case, we're going to study the regression coefficients. So once that's executed, a golden nugget appears in your modeling palette, which has 3 tabs. The summary gives you the equation of the model and the coefficients, how they are valued in the model. The advanced tab just gives you all of the different iterations that the statistical tool used to find the 9 variables in the model. This is a snapshot of the coefficients. I've put this into a table in a PowerPoint, so we can go back to that. So I guess the question is, which quality dimension has a customer rating that provides the greatest impact on predicting loyalty? So the numbers in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th column are the relative important figures that we are going to use to plot against the average rating of these 9 quality dimensions. So let's look at which quality dimension should we improve based upon the performance against the importance. Here's the affective loyalty model, and the areas of your business that will improve the affective loyalty score. In the top left-hand quadrant are friendliness and professionalism. Being kind and pleasant to be around are qualities that are essential in a relationship with an affective customer. Each company will figure out how to increase friendliness in different ways using different cost thresholds. Well, of course, bonuses could help instantly. Also, however, becoming an expert in your field or having high work morale can be accomplished with an education or a mentoring program to create more of a professionalism in the workplace. variety, and we see friendliness are the significant drivers of cognitive loyalty. Offering several versions and changing the assortment are essential to people that prefer to buy different products. If you want to improve cognitive loyalty, you should consistently conduct product reviews to change the assortment and stay current with your services. Professionalism is key for both retention and affective. This is a bonus if you decide to improve both. So, is your business closed after 5 p.m.? Is it closed on the weekends? Well, maybe you should reassess your business hours because they are important to the retention loyalty score. If you notice a common loyalty driver between all three of the dimensions, this will help you significantly. In this case, variety is the area that can be improved to create a higher performance rating and increase the cognitive and retention loyalty scores. So once we know the quality that we can improve to improve the loyalty score, well, which ones should we do first? There is a correlation between improving loyalty and improving revenue, but there are cost implications. What we're going to look at is an understanding of the business goals and the loyalty dimension, using a correlation between the two over a series of months. So now that we have the key drivers of loyalty, it is important to identify the loyalty dimension that is in line with your goals of your company. So here's that relationship between business goals and the loyalty. If the goal is your new customer growth, the data suggests that affective loyalty is your target area, and you should focus on friendliness and professionalism. On the other hand, if your goal is year-over-year revenue, then you want to focus on handling issues and addressing a variety of products and services to satisfy your cognitive customers. It's intuitive that retention loyalty is the best fit to decrease churn rate. For this, the variety and return policy are key drivers. The next step would be to understand which of those qualities that we should improve based upon a cost-benefit analysis. So it is important to identify the cost associated with making changes. Well, we have created a what-if scenario dashboard that allows you to change the average rating for each of the 9 quality dimensions. A cost was calculated for every change in the performance rating. As you make changes to the ratings, the cost and revenue change. Here's the what-if dashboard. For instance, if we consider the affective group, which these sliders are set at the average rating for each of the 9 qualities. If we look at the friendliness to improve the affective loyalty, we can start with 6, and let's see what occurs when we go 0.5 or up to 7 as an average rating score. The analysis suggests that we can spend, or we would have to spend $232,000, and our revenue, or incremental revenue, would be $3.6 million. Let's say we increase friendliness 1, and then also professionalism. Going from 7.3, which is high, let's move it maybe to 7.5, and that jumps it to 4.5 million, but we also increased our cost to another $105,000. If we jump to 8 as our average rating, $366,000 is our cost, and our incremental revenue is $6.4 million. Also notice that your affective score has significantly increased to 7.3 versus the 6.9 that it was at. And as we are aware, changing the average rating on any of these quality dimensions will change all three scores because there's a relationship between them all. So if we look at the cognitive loyalty, that would be changing friendship and variety. So let's look at variety first. It's at 7.6, which is relatively at the top, but we can possibly improve it to 8, which would cost us a little more as we compare to friendliness, because we would have to consider having more product available as a variety of product for each of the different product categories. So if we increase it to, let's say, 8.5, which is very superior to the rating scales, there we go. Your cost goes up to 1.9 million, and your incremental revenue is 4 million. So far, by focusing on the friendliness and the professionalism gives us that highest return on incremental revenue over cost. Let's keep variety as is and look at friendliness, because that also drives the cognitive score. 6, it's probably reasonable to increase that maybe to 7, and then let's say maybe to 8. It's possible based upon some programs that you may have throughout the organization. $11 million based upon increasing friendliness is a significant increase, and only spending $464,000. So there, as you see, there's many scenarios that you can run. You can look at, let's say, if you want to also change appearance to 7, it costs $500,000, and it gains you up to 13 million. Let's reset these and talk about the retention, folks. There's a combination of professionalism, business hours, and variety. So we looked at professionalism. Let's do business hours. That's at 7.3 right now. So if we increase it to 7.5, just a little increase, that's $67,000. And you return $185,000. If you jump up to 8 average, it goes from 233 to an incremental 646. So there's not really a huge increase in your incremental revenue based upon increasing your average rating. The variety, again, if we increase to 8 or 8.5, the cost is significant. $4.7 million based upon spending, there's 1.9, almost $2 million. Now let's also look at professionalism is the other significant driver of retention. Let's say we go to 8, just a small increase. So now we're at about, there's 5, maybe $2.5 million. Our incremental revenue is 7.4. And then as you saw, these loyalty scores changed. So you can set goals for the average rating on each of these 9 qualities, or you can also set goals on your loyalty scores and then move these average ratings up and down to see how it would affect each of these loyalty scores. There's an unreasonable average rating of 10 that would understand that you would spend $3.3 million to get $14 million. But you can run different scenarios at different ranges. So this, what we have gone through by understanding the voice of the customer, analyzing their thoughts, categorizing them into different loyalty dimensions, comparing those loyalty dimensions with their quality ratings to identify the significant drivers of that loyalty. And we can target them to improve that area of the business, in turn improving the loyalty as the output, as an effect. And essentially, that should increase your incremental revenue and your profit. This is an ongoing process, not a one-time project. So what we've gone through hopefully will help you understand on how to determine your customers' loyalty drivers, the relative importance of core products and services, and the relationship factors will differ somewhat from industry to industry. If your business isn't one size fits all, then neither are your loyalty drivers. So remember to improve your relationship building behaviors so that you can repeatedly exceed the customer's expectations. Ultimate goal is to optimize loyalty to convert your customers into marketers. Okay, Tim.
All right, Ken, can you get the next slide up there? Now we're going to answer your questions. If you have a question, please enter it in the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And please stand by while I go through them and select the ones that will be of interest to everybody online. While we wait for questions to come in, I want to tell you that we will provide the presentation slides in an email that will go out to all attendees in the next day or so. And if everything worked properly, we'll also send a link to a recording of the webinar. Let's stand by for a second here. Questions?
Yeah, can you take the screen over?
Oh, okay. I'll do that.
Mine's stuck.
Stand by. We'll get the screen up. We're also waiting for questions, so we'll get the right slide up here. Here we go.
Just before the questions come in, I've encountered some questions, and they're about employees and their customer, their satisfaction level. Now, they are a big part in this. If you improve your employee satisfaction, it is possible that they'll provide higher quality, if that higher quality is desired. That would satisfy the customer in any which way, which essentially would lead to improving your loyalty, identifying quality dimensions.
So you can apply the same kind of analysis to employee satisfaction.
Exactly.
Yeah? Is that what you're getting at? Okay, that makes sense. Let's see, here we have a question. Okay, on the dashboard, how did you determine the cost of improving the different loyalty factors? What's the underlying? How did we? I guess the question is how did we determine the cost of making those improvements?
Yeah, so there was a different model or approach for different quality dimensions. For example, if we looked at business hours, if we were to increase the business hours, we would look at the extra employee salary that we have to account for. If we look at the appearance of the store, that would encompass maybe changing some of the structure outside or painting. So we kind of factored in some of that
How did you determine those costs? Were they industry averages? Were they, or just sort of estimates? I guess this is really the question, the underlying question. What are the assumptions, really?
Well, they were, yeah, close to estimates from the client that we worked with.
Okay. All right. Here's another question. And excuse me, I have to read these in a little window. Early in the presentation, you showed a list of business areas that predictive analytics could improve. Can you talk about how you can use predictive analytics in resource planning? That was one
resource
of those,
planning.
Yeah,
how that was selected. There is an association between using applied statistics to identify areas of a region or areas of a city that we should have the sales force focus on. And then we can attempt to identify how many, for instance, inside sales reps or outside sales reps that we would need based upon the demand from the customers. So we can look at different regions, or we can look at different cities or zip codes. So based upon customer analysis on where your customers are, distributing the number of customers, we can identify how much resources that we need to apply to each of those customers, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's over the phone or whether it's a combination of both.
All right, so, all right, I see. Stand by. That's the 3 we've had so far. Let's stand by another minute here and see if we can get a few more questions. You know what, Ken? It does not look like any more questions are coming in. I'll keep an eye on it while I talk, but it looks like we're done a little early, which is okay. Nobody ever complains when a webinar ends a little early. All right, I guess that wraps up the question and answer segment and the webinar. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. Look in your email inbox for the presentation soon, along with a link to the webinar recording, which also will be available on our website, dunsolutions.com. And keep an eye peeled for invitations to other upcoming live seminars and webinars. Oh, yeah, we have one last minute question. What do you advise for customer attrition? So that's a churn question. Yeah, Ken?
A churn percentage? Well,
so I guess the answer is what's the solution? How do we use predictive analytics for customer churn?
Oh, in regards to measuring customer churn?
Yeah.
So what we can do is look at the customer survival rates to see how long a customer is going to be with you, and estimate that for every customer. And that would give us an understanding of the rates of churn throughout the time frame that you are analyzing. So there's a tool called survival analysis that will estimate the length of your customer life.
Okay, so we can use predictive analytics to, actually, can we predict individual people, individual customers, how likely they are to churn? And
yeah, we would have
thereby
scores for
know
each of
how
them.
who to focus on? Is that's really the ultimate?
Yeah, we could bucket, yeah, high likelihood to churn, and then do something.
All right. So predictive analytics, we've actually done a webinar in the past about customer attrition, and we have a case study also. Predictive analytics can be applied in all kinds of ways, as long as you have data, correct?
Exactly.
You can apply it pretty much
find
anything.
patterns in data.
Yeah, all right. I think that really wraps up the webinar and the question and answer segment. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you soon online or in person. Goodbye now.